And we are live! Good evening, everybody!
Welcome to the second Mystery Box Show live stream from quarantine.
My name is Eric.
And I'm Reba. We will be your hosts this evening. Welcome to our living room. We are sitting here comfortably by the fire. We have our beverage of choice. We hope that you are in a similar place of comfort to enjoy the show this evening.
Yeah, and we have the chat open. Everybody, let us know where you're tuning in from around the globe. We know that we have so many people watching right now. It would be great to hear where you are. We also have Nicole right there, keeping an eye on the chat. Oh, gosh, what have I done? Oh, Nicole is keeping an eye on the chat, making sure everything is running smoothly. Yeah.
So if you've got questions at any point during the show or comments, go ahead and put them in that chat and Nicole will be fielding them and make sure we get those answered.
Right on.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you tuning in for the very first time, or if you've been to the show many, many times and need a refresher, let me remind you that you are at a storytelling show. We have 4 storytellers for you this evening who will be telling true personal stories from their lives, and they're all about sex.
Absolutely. We have stories for you tonight. We have a chance for you all to share your confessions. We have giveaways. We hope you'll all stick around after the show for our virtual after party. And as you see, we also have an opportunity. We're doing this super chat thing where we're on YouTube. And Chrissy, thank you so much for being our first super chat of the evening. For every $250 we raise in super chats, Reba is going to be donning some costume pieces that we have here set aside. We'll see what kind of creation we can make tonight.
A masterpiece. We also want to let you know that we try our best to create a safe environment for people to hear and to tell their stories. And so we know that when it comes to the topic of sex, that some subjects might be more sensitive than others to certain folks. So please do whatever you need to do to take care of yourselves. But for now, please consider this a blanket trigger warning for the evening.
Absolutely. Just want to take a moment to acknowledge everybody telling us where they're tuning in from. Ferndale, Washington, Southeast Portland, Calgary, Alberta. Just awesome. And I need to point out that a camping gal is tuning in from Buffalo, my hometown. I grew up in Buffalo all my life. I'm from Amherst.
Oh my gosh, Bill is tuning in from Myrtle Beach. You know, I visited there quite a bit when I was a little girl. I have a shark almost ate me at Myrtle Beach.
Oh, right
story.
On.
Right on, a shark almost ate me.
Wait, I guess I really wasn't totally paying attention. I was distracted because Peter has just given a super chat. Thank you so very much, Peter, for that.
Oh, thank you, Peter. So generous.
From Franklin, Pennsylvania, and from Vancouver, Washington.
Oh my gosh, somebody likes my hair. Thank you.
And from Rudy Hill from Australia.
And
awesome.
Ohio. We love this. Keep telling us, even as the show's going on, we love knowing that we're able to reach a global audience. That's been one of the hashtag blessings coming out of this quarantine live stream, is that we've got this global audience now, which is incredible.
Should we just make this the entire show, just reporting where everybody's
tuning in from? Just reporting
where
everyone's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Weston. You look beautiful, too. You really, really do. Oh, okay, girls in Amherst. Right on. I lived in Amherst and then a little bit in Gettsville, right next door a little bit.
Lakewood. Someone's tuning in from Colorado. I'm from Colorado.
Well, welcome to everybody. We're going to get the show rolling. And our very first story tonight comes from none other than our dear, our wonderful, the multi-talented executive producer of the Mystery Box Show. Will you all please welcome Miss Reba Sparrow?
It was probably our 4th date when Andy took me back into his bedroom for the sex. And he opened up the door, and at the foot of his bed was just sprawled out the largest array of sex toys that I had ever seen. There were probably like 15 or 20 different shapes and sizes. There were vibrators and dildos, and they were all different colors. And he turns to me with this big smile on his face, and he says, "Go ahead. Pick anyone you like." And I, of course, had a really big smile on my face. But inside, I was thinking, what the fuck? This is so hurtful and offensive. Now, if this statement confuses you, let me take you back to when I got my very first Cabbage Patch doll. I was 5, and I remember sitting on my bedroom floor, leaned up against my bunk bed, and I lifted up my shirt and I put that Cabbage Patch doll's face right on my nipple because I had seen moms breastfeeding and I wanted to be a good mom to this doll. And right away, I noticed that that cold, hard plastic of the doll's face felt really nice on my nipple. And the second thing I noticed was that not only was there a sensation on my nipple, but there was something tingling between my legs. So I thought, well, why don't I just cut out the middleman, so to speak, and sit directly on this doll's face? So I pull up my dress, and I pulled down my panties and I rubbed myself on this Cabbage Patch doll's face until I have what I remember being one of my very first orgasms. Now, I didn't know what an orgasm was at the time, but it didn't matter. I just knew that it felt good and I wanted more of that feeling. So I started experimenting with different objects in my room, such as, my blankets or my pillows, just rubbing up against those. But my favorites were actually my stuffed animals, especially the ones that had the hard plastic noses, because that gave me that same sensation that I really liked, that hard plastic of the faces. So this continued throughout my adolescence. I continued to pervert household objects for masturbation. And all went well. I had the orgasms. I didn't know that I was masturbating. I kind of knew that it had something to do with sex at some point. And then around age 10, I was flipping through the channels of the TV one day. I think I was home alone. My parents never supervised what I watched anyway. And I came across this random movie on TV. I, to this day, have no idea what it was. But there was a scene with a woman in the back seat of a taxi, and her legs were spread wide, and you could see it was like a full-on pussy shot, and she was touching herself with this little vibrating buzzy thing. And I had never seen anything like this before, and I remember thinking, what is that? I bet it feels awesome. And I don't remember what was happening in the scene of the movie, but I do remember that the vibe, pun intended, of that scene was that this woman was touching herself with this device because no person would touch her. Like it was a replacement for a person because she was undesirable, she was unwanted, she was gross and nasty and lonely. And I immediately made that connection of, oh shit, I do what she's doing. Does that mean that I'm undesirable and gross and the thing that I do is shameful? Specifically because there was a device, not necessarily associated with masturbation. So I was like, cool. I guess no one can ever know that I do this or I'm the worst. And at the same time, I was thinking, but what is that thing she has? I bet it feels awesome. Of course, I learned as the years went on what that thing was. It was a vibrator, and specifically, I think it was actually a bullet vibrator, a sex toy. And I'm not sure how I learned what sex toys were. Probably like teenagers talking in the hallways at school or magazines. I'm not sure. But anytime I heard them mentioned, it was in association with them being shameful. Like you would only have a sex toy if you couldn't get the real thing. Like if you couldn't have a person, if nobody wanted to have sex with you, you had to take care of yourself with this device. And I didn't actually see a real sex toy in person until I was 19, I think. I was a freshman in college. And I was in a student-run play where one of the props was a vibrator. And the director just brought it into our first rehearsal like it was no big deal, like super professionally. It was actually a longer version of that bullet. So it was like a long, slender, made of plastic but silver in color. And when you twisted it, it would vibrate. And I was thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I was just freaking out the whole time. Like what's going to happen around this vibrator? But the director, who was my age, was treating it like it was no big deal. So I was like, oh, like, have I been overreacting about vibrators my whole life? Is this actually no big deal and maybe not so bad? But like 20 minutes into rehearsal, the commenting began. The entire cast was cracking jokes, like, all night long about whose ass this vibrator was going into that night, like in a derogatory way. And like who was going to be stealing it from the props department later because they were so pathetic and unfuckable and they couldn't get laid that they needed to have this vibrator. And I was like, oh, right. So this just confirms everything that I thought about it. Stay far away from that device. Even though, like, secretly I was thinking, but I bet it feels amazing. Like, where did the director get that and how can I get one? But I can never tell anyone, but where'd she get it? And there was this, this back and forth and this back and forth. And I did not steal it, nor did it go up my ass that night. And I got married to my first boyfriend right after college, who felt the same way about sex toys as he did about porn, which was, why would you need either of those things when you have me? And I didn't blame him for that because I had always thought that too. So I was like, yeah, right. So sex toys were just not a thing. So when Andy said to me, choose any toy you'd like, and I was like, what the fuck? Really what I was thinking was, oh, so you want to fuck me, but only with a 10-foot pole. Or in this case, like a 6-inch vibrating one. I thought that maybe he liked my personality, but he thought my body was gross. Or just like not attractive enough on its own for him to want to have sex with me. And because I thought this, and because I liked him, and I wanted him to like me, I thought, well, I guess pole sex is better than no sex. So I went along with it. And I just sort of nonchalantly was like, oh, I don't know, like that one, without even really looking at the toys. I mean, there were so many, I wouldn't have even known where to start. But I pretended like it was no big deal. And I ended up picking this one that was a kind of just your run-of-the-mill vibrator. I think it was pink in color. Maybe it was blue. I honestly can't remember, but I know it had a couple different vibration settings and it had a little curve at the end for G-spot stimulation. And he picked it up and he was like, this is a good one. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And so we like start making out and our clothes start flying off and I'm thinking to myself, or maybe he's going to forget about the toy and it's not even going to be an issue. And I find myself lying on my back on his bed and I hear the toy come on. I hear the buzz of the toy and I think, oh, okay, here it comes. And I close my eyes because I'm literally just enduring this moment. And I'm waiting, I'm bracing myself and I'm just waiting for him to penetrate me. And I'm like, okay, like maybe he doesn't want his cock in me, but maybe this vibrator thing's gonna be fine. I don't know. And I'm waiting and he doesn't stick it in me. Instead, he brushes it up against my inner thigh and it startles me and it tickles and it feels kind of nice. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then he starts to drag it up my belly and up my ribs, and he lands on that soft spot just below my breasts. And he says, do you like that? And I startled myself because I said yes. It actually physically felt really good and titillating. And then he brought it up to my nipple. And that's when I lost my shit, because it felt just like that cold hard plastic of that Cabbage Patch doll on my nipple, which translated to the tingly feeling between my leg. And I was super turned on. And he said, "Do you like that?" And again, I said yes. And he said, "Do you want more?" And I said yes. And so he's dragging it all over. I still have my eyes closed because, like, emotionally, I'm not ready to give in to this yet. I still think it's not okay. It's taboo. It's icky. But physically, I'm like, oh, this feels pretty good. And he drags it back down me, and he's teasing my labia, and I'm so wet at this point. He just slides it right in, and it kind of shocks my eyes open. And when I open my eyes, I see Andy, and he's watching my face. He's not looking down at the vibrator. He's not paying attention to anything else that's going on. He's watching my face and my eyes. And the more like he can see that I'm feeling pleasure, the faster he goes with the vibrator. And he's really good with it. Like, he's done this before. And he goes and he goes, and we're in rhythm with each other. And I reach this pretty rad climax. And then I just sort of collapse back onto the bed. And he comes up and he lies down next to me, and he says, "That was beautiful. I loved watching you in pleasure." And I was like, "What? What'd you say? What just happened?" I'm sort of in like a flurry of, "Oh, what just happened? I just had the orgasm and the things and the stuff, and I'm so confused." And it was the first time that I understood, or I thought I understood, his perspective, because my perspective was sex toys are for people who are sad and lonely, and they're a last resort. They're a tool of desperation. And from Andy's perspective, these vibrators were a tool to help enhance a sexual experience. They were like icing on the cake. He didn't have to have them. He enjoyed it, and he enjoyed watching the sensations I was feeling. It was a whole new world. I gotta tell you, it like dispelled everything that I thought about sex toys forever. And it was the catalyst for me starting my own sex toy collection. Don't get me wrong, like, we totally had the P and the V sex during our relationship. I didn't just exclusively become a sex toy user only. And I still definitely love to sit on faces. I just replaced the Cabbage Patch doll with people and 6-inch vibrating poles.
Oh, that was hilarious. Reba Sparrow, everybody.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Well, thank you. We're just going to keep right on rolling.
Yeah. So before we get to more stories, we also wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to all of the frontline workers that are tuning in, and thank you for everything you are doing to keep us safe, to keep us healthy, and to just really look over our well-being. You are appreciated all so super very much. I also wanted to check out here. Thank you for everybody who's doing the super chats. To Amy and Shelly and Lauren. My goodness, thank you so much. This night is already so much off to a great start. We are going to keep right on rolling. We are going to. Yeah, next storyteller.
Yeah, our next storyteller has told one other story at the Mystery Box Show live on stage. You should definitely check out his video that is on our YouTube channel. So we're super delighted to have him back this evening. He's one of my most favorite performers, writers, directors. You may have seen him on Portlandia or heard him on Livewire. And you're going to hear him right now as one of our fantastic storytellers. Please welcome to your homes, Jason Rouse.
Woohoo!
I am making out with this girl, and I pull back to check her face and neck over. And she opened her eyes when she noticed I was not kissing her anymore. And she saw me studying her, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm just making sure. I'm making sure what? She asked. And then I told her about a recent experience I had had, a story, really, really a story about my inexperience with experience. My friends, at 18, I was no expert or great lover of women or men or even myself. True story, I wouldn't successfully be able to masturbate myself until I was 29. I have never, ever said that out loud publicly before. I give you Exhibit A, some quick stories about inexperience. Not long before this took place, I was alone with a girl in her bedroom, and she took off all of her clothes totally unprompted, kept staring me deep in the eye, laid down. I excused myself to go get a glass of water. I left the house and never came back. A girl had indicated she wanted me to go down on her, and when I got down there, I sneezed heavily twice. She started crying, and again I left. And this one time, I accidentally stuck my finger in a girl's asshole, thinking it was the other hole. That is, in fact, a lie. I did it more than once. So the recent experience I was referring to that day took place 3 weeks before the night of the Ballet High dance. That was my school's version of the Sadie Hawkins dance. A good friend of mine named Sarah had invited me, and she and I were to go with another couple. We were going to hook up with them for dinner, go to the dance, and then we were meeting up with two more couples at this house where we were going to stay for the night in the West Hills. And I don't know why our parents allowed this, but it was never an issue. Staying out all night in mixed company was just something that happened. So we met up for the dance, and I was immediately blindfolded and put in the back seat, which is weird. It was my car. I was supposed to drive. But anyway, I was sat in the back seat, and we drove around for a long time. And then we went to dinner and the dance, but I don't remember much about the dinner or the dance because, truthfully, dances in high school for me were never about the dance. It was there was just something you had to get through to get to the rest of the night. It was just never ever about the dance. So and I know, I suppose, like, the fact that I was blindfolded could have been a sort of a provocative clue as to what was going to happen, for the rest of the night. But I would remind you of Exhibit A, and I really didn't know anything about what being blindfolded sort of could portend. Sexy stuff like that wouldn't appear on my radar for at least 40 to 60 years. Jesus, if it had been, I would have passed out and died. So, and I should say that even though Sarah and I were just friends, we weren't dating. Wasn't on the agenda in any way. It was one of those sort of bargains you make when you go to a dance in high school, that at the end of the night, you guys are probably going to make out. It seemed to always happen. It was just one of those things. It was kind of great. So after the dance, we arrived at this house on this hill, and the four couples, we sort of like separated into there were four levels, and we each kind of picked a level. And my sort of business began by like setting up a sort of comfortable space in front of the television. We picked the floor that was like the TV room and games room. And I had brought along, of course, a VHS copy, my very own copy of Good Morning Vietnam. I'll remind you again of Exhibit A. And I guess, really, if you own a copy of Good Morning Vietnam on VHS, I mean, why don't you bring it places? I was an idiot, so there's that. Now, it was also kind of sort of a night of tension. Upstairs somewhere, these other couples were sort of just, coupling and being teenagers, and it was sweaty, and I'm sure not pleasing for anybody. And earlier, one of the guys had brought condoms and was like, hey, let's have condoms. And so I was given a couple condoms, and even though I wasn't going to, I knew I wasn't going to use it, but I took it just in case. And a few hours into our sort of stay, someone walked down, and he asked me to go meet him, and he's like, I've already gone through my condoms. Can I have one of yours? And I sure, here, just take both of mine. And he said, thank you. He's like, it's going great. And then he sort of peeked around and was like, is that Good Morning Vietnam? And I'm like, get out of here. It's fine. We all romance differently. Okay. I didn't have a moment with a parent who sort of like laid it all out for me. Health class didn't do anything other than, like, I know now how to like burn a tick out with a extinguished match. Like, that's it. Like, the sex stuff, I was left to like learn on the job, and they were some rough years for me. So we'd watch about half the movie, and we started talking a little bit, and then we started to make out. And by making out, I mean French kissing. And I was kissing her on the mouth and on the neck and on the chest. And she had her shirt off, bra on was our situation that night. And I kissed down her chest, and I kissed down her stomach, and it was nice. I was applying what I'd learned elsewhere on other job situations and was sort of like mushing them together. You know, I knew how to not get a hickey, and I knew how to listen for what a girl might say, or a moan that was good. And you sort of like, if you're doing that, you just sort of keep doing that. So I just kept doing that. And I got to tell you, this woman was beautiful. You know, she had long brown hair, long beautiful neck, and beautiful eyes, and it was always a thrill for me to kiss someone. You know, I kissed a lot of people. That is a brag at that point, but it never failed to do my head in. You know, the intimacy of it overwhelmed me, much more so than intercourse, which I really only had a few very fiddling experiences with, and it always made me really tense, like this pressure in the whole thing that just kept building, and these expectations and blah 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 blah. It stressed me out. Then was I always supposed to be trying to have sex? I'd been making out with girls since I was 13, and that was seemed like it was enough for me. You know, Frenching and like the occasional boob grab, that was like, this was heaven. You know, this I loved it. You know, kissing was my favorite thing. And so after a decent amount of time kissing and sort of moaning, I guess, we fell asleep together on this floor, and it was covered with these like giant oversized pillows and like 30 blankets. And the next morning I woke with the sun coming in through this, you know, the east facing floor to ceiling windows. And it was just fantastic. The sun was coming in through the trees, and I have never forgotten a second of that night, or that morning specifically. I remember everything. I remember the way the light came in. I remember glancing around and seeing on the wall, they had a poster from the Mount Hood Festival of Jazz framed on the wall. And my dad had that same poster on his wall, which I thought was weird and lame, I guess. It was just weird that they had it. And I remember the way the place smelled. This was a rich person's house, and rich people's houses smell great, you know. And I remember the way she looked laying there, and her bra was sort of this lavender deal, and it had this little strip of satin. And I remember her entire neck, chest, and stomach were covered in horrible, horrible bruises. And I was very confused, because my first thought was that I had killed this girl, or it seemed unlikely because that I hadn't done it, you know. And I thought maybe there was some sort of like, I don't know, a ghost or something got involved. And I'm like, that seems unlikely. These things don't really happen in Beaverton. And so I just sat there for a minute and stared at her, and she sort of opened her eyes, and our eyes met, and she could see that something was going on. And I sort of gestured to her black and blue chest, stomach, neck, and face, and I sort of didn't know what to do. And she sort of looked down, and she excused herself, and she went into the bathroom, and I just sort of sat there silently freaking out. You know, I don't know what to do if a ghost comes in and beats up your Bali High date. I just didn't know what to do. She was in the bathroom for a few minutes. She was quiet, and she came out, and she wasn't upset. She was pretty calm and was nice about it. And she said nothing on her hurt. And I know because I pushed on some of them, and she's like, "That, don't do that." But it didn't hurt was good, and that it had never happened before. And ever, it had never happened before. And so I just didn't know what to do. I had to take her home. I had to take her home to her single mother, who raised her only daughter alone. And I had to, you know, we walked her up to the front door, and for some reason I rang the doorbell. I don't know why I did that. She could have just walked in. Anyway, mom came to the door, opened it, and I had to go inside, and I had to sit down in their living room, and I had to tell her everything that we did. And we told her every second the truth. And I don't know whether she believed it or not. I don't know. I was more nervous than anything. And her mom told me that she was going to call my mom. I was like, well, okay, what's going to happen? That's fine. That's fine. You know, I was really disappointed by the whole affair. I was disappointed, but not surprised, because these sort of things never really worked out for me, you know. But and then I got really nervous about school on Monday, because the word was going to get out probably that I don't know, what are they going to think? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to be maligned. I didn't want her to be thought of poorly, you know. But it turned out it was fine. Sarah was a champ the next week, you know. There was a lot of scarves and turtlenecks for a while. And then, before you know it, her skin cleared up, and all evidence of our night together was gone. And she wasn't lying, but it never happened before. And I checked, it never happened to her again. So it was the first time and only time that a girl had an allergic reaction to me, and that was a hard thing to sort of like swallow. And this was kind of went in the back of my mind, and I thought, well, this is, maybe you need to give this a rest. So I laid low, for a couple of weeks. But hormones get you in the end. So it was a good 3 weeks until I out again, and now we're back where we came in. I'm with that girl, at the beginning of this whole thing, and we're kissing, and I'm checking her out. And once I was like, do I see a bruise forming? No bruise formed. I told her that I was relieved. And so we're sitting on this low stone wall that sits next to this community pond near where I grew up. And we called it the duck pond because there were ducks at the pond. And a normal date for me in those days might be I would pick someone up. We'd go to like a movie or something. And then we go to this duck pond and sit on the low stone wall and we'd kiss. And this night we had skipped the movie, and that was great. So after I was sure she wasn't allergic to me, we went back to making out, and it was, I tell you, great to be back in the game, doing what I loved. And moments later, she sort of adjusted her body, and she fell off the wall into a small patch of mud at the base of the wall. It was just par for the course for me. Thank you very much.
Jason Rouse, everybody.
Jason Rouse. Love that guy. Thank you, everybody. If you're loving the show so far, we've got more stories for you. And I wanted to take a moment just to thank the super chats that have been coming in. A special shout out to Kyle and Justin and T English. So thank you so much for those
T
super
English,
chats.
our East Coast street team, hanging out there, spreading the word on the East Coast about the Mystery Box Show.
Mm-hmm. So, if you're enjoying the show, let your friends know. We're still going. We've got a couple more stories for you.
Yeah, and one reason those super chats mean so much to us, aside from us wanting to dress Reba up in whatever she's going to wear, is that, of course, during these times of social restriction, one of the groups that have been hardest hit has been performers like us, people who rely on an audience to get together in massive groups to watch a show. And right now, we don't have any ticket sales because the theaters aren't open, and that's our income. And there's really no way of knowing when we're going to be able to get together in a theater again to put on another show. So it means a great deal for us that you are here supporting us here.
Yeah, and of course this live stream is free, and we want this to be as accessible as possible to everyone who's stuck at home right now, everyone who is not stuck at home, essential workers. We just want to give you this gift and contribute in any way that we can. But if you are feeling called to contribute, there are a couple ways that you can do that. One is through the super chat that we've mentioned a couple of times here on the YouTube channel. You can just chat those in. Is that how you do it? You chat those in. We also have a Patreon, so you can find us at patreon.com/mysteryboxshow, where you can become a monthly contributor, and then there are gifts associated with that, including some pretty rad Mystery Box Show merch and some other perks along the way as well. Additionally, if you just want to do a one-time contribution, you can do that through PayPal, and you can find that on our website at mysteryboxshow.com. Again, that's our PayPal for a one-time donation if you're able.
Yeah, and all of these donations really help the Mystery Box Show stay alive and let us keep putting on these live streams. And pretty soon we're going to have a podcast, which is something that people have been asking us for more and more. So
he just announced. I didn't know you were announcing that.
It's a coming soon.
Oh, big announcement, everyone! We're having a podcast. You just skirted over that moment.
I don't want to build up hype too much, but you will be hearing more about that. Also, T English, thank you again. We love you so much. Also, yeah. And speaking of the Patreon, we wanted to give a special shout out to the people who have become patrons of ours at patreon.com since the last show. And those are these folks here. We have Kat, we have Ruth and Charlie, who we love and have been to the show tons of times. Kenneth, Adam, Chris, Papa D being awesome, Melissa, Stephen, and Dave. So thank you so much for everything that you have done to help keep the Mystery Box Show alive.
I also wanted to say other ways that you can help the Mystery Box Show that are not financial contributions are you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are this close from hitting 100,000 subscribers, and we would love it if you could help us reach that goal. And also hit that notification bell so that you can see all of the new content that's coming up. We've been having a lot more content these days, which is exciting. You can also follow us on Instagram at MysteryBoxPDX and on Facebook at MysteryBox. Is it MysteryBoxPDX on Facebook too?
I believe so. It might be Mystery Box Show on Facebook.
You can find us.
We have it up right here at the bottom of the screen. You can see what we put there. Thank you, Dawn, and thank you, Rose. Oh.
Yeah, and as a token of our appreciation, if you've ever been to one of our stage shows, you know that we love to do giveaways to our audience. We have amazing sponsors, and we love to showcase their products, and we found a way to still be able to do that on this live stream. So we have 2 giveaways tonight. I want to do one demo here for you because this is a giveaway we're doing from our sponsor Fun Factory.
What is that?
Yeah, this is like the mother load. It's appropriate I just told a story about how I used to be scared of sex toys because this. So this is called the Share Vibe. It's actually a couple's toy. And the way that it works, so I just want to say, I love Fun Factory's design and just their ethos in general. Most of their products, I should say, are fully submergible in water, and they're hypoallergenic, and they're rechargeable. They're just super cool. Now this Share Vibe has a removable bullet, also ironic, that has several different settings, and I'm going to demonstrate how this works. So this is essentially a strapless strap-on.
A strapless strap-on.
A strapless strap-on. So the idea is, be creative, use this how you will, but the idea is that this down here is inserted into the vagina, or equivalent thereof, and then this here is for clitoral stimulation, and then this here is just free to go into all the holes, and and it's super flexible. I'm being whole exclusive here, like being holistic. And I want to remind people too that, vibrators and sex toys some of them are very anatomy specific, and some of them aren't. And so this is one that I think can fit a lot of different anatomies. I do, if I can. I don't know.
Can you all hear that?
I don't know. You can certainly hear. It's got some power, to say the least. So
Was that like the lowest setting?
that was the low setting. So Fun Factory, you can find all of their toys at funfactoryusa.com. And there's also a 20% discount code that should have been at the top of the show, right?
It's right here on the screen.
Oh, it's right here on the screen right now. So you can use that code MysteryBox to get 20% off of this item or any items on their website. But we will be giving this away, and we'll tell you how in just a moment. And along with it, I'm not going to take it out of the bag for sanitary purposes, but my sister Christine, who's watching right now, has made these wonderful penis fabric masks that I just love. So you'll be receiving one of these along.
I wonder, can I get this close to the camera?
Yeah, try to
see the fabric. Can you all see that there? I don't know if that's in focus enough, but hopefully you can see the peens.
Yeah, Chris, see the peens. Also, we're doing a giveaway from our favorite chocolatier, Missionary Chocolates. They're vegan chocolates. They're gluten-free. They're made by a naturopathic doctor who's one of the most lovely people I've ever met in my life.
Let me put up a picture.
Show you what these truffles look like.
They are gorgeous. They look like this. We can't get enough of Missionary Chocolates.
Yeah, you can find them at missionarychocolates.com.
Missionarychocolates.com.
Yeah, and this also comes with a Christine McClellan handmade penis mask for your pleasure. So how do you win one of these 2 giveaways, you ask? Well,
Reba, how do these fine folks tonight win one of these fantastic giveaways.
Well, Eric, I believe you're going to share a story now.
Oh my goodness.
To explain.
I have never heard you sound so natural. Yeah, I will explain. And also taking another... Oh, yeah?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have hit $271 on Super Chat. And for every $250, I put on a costume accessory.
Oh, what have you got here?
You may call me Madam Butterfly.
Oh, I love it. Look at that.
Proceed.
I didn't even know that you had that.
Proceed.
And I just wanted to give a special shout out to the recent super chats from Alan, my favorite spelling of Alan ever, and from Brittany, who is watching from her bubble bath.
Thank you, Alan and Brittany. Another one from T English with the comment, all the holes.
T English, you are fantastic. All right, so first I want to tell you all a little story. Let me tell you about when I was 15 years old and stumbled across a large amount of contemporary pornographic magazines. It's not important how I came across all of these magazines. It's not even important that they were all month after month of a porn mag called Jugs.
He still has those, by the way.
I would read and enjoy them, and of course I would enjoy, masturbating to them. I'm a bit more of the bashful type here at the show, so forgive me if I stumble over some words. But okay, so I would read through these magazines, and of course the pictures are wonderful, and the little editorials that they have of each person who wrote about themselves. I'm sure like every model was sincere in writing, like, oh, I love picking up dudes at truck stops, and they just fuck me in all the holes.
All the holes.
Hashtag all the holes tonight. But as I went through the magazines, I found that there were more than just the pictures, and even more than the stories that were written to jack off to. There were also tons of ads for phone numbers, 1-800 numbers that you could call to talk to live girls, like right now, who wanted to have you in all of their holes. Is that what you think they looked like?
Hello? I would like to insert myself into all of your holes.
And all of these numbers, they were all like cleverly put together. Like how phone numbers translate to letters, and businesses use that to sometimes promote themselves. These would be like 1-800, I don't know, big asses, or eat pussy, or something like that. I know what you're thinking, like there's only 7 digits there, eat pussy is like too many letters for that, but you've all seen it happen. They just use the first 7 letters, and then it doesn't matter what the number you push after that is, it's still dialing anyway. So you could call these 1-800 numbers, and I couldn't wait to do that. So I waited until my parents had left the house this one day, and I started dialing up the number, and I got this like recording that was like, like, hello, hot stuff. I can't wait for you to fill all my holes.
Hashtag all the holes.
All my holes. What's a hashtag? You'll find out in 25 years.
Pound all the holes.
I'm just gonna take a minute for me to recover from that one.
Sorry.
So this female recording, it was clearly a recording, like she wasn't speaking to me. So honestly, I didn't even need to find out what was happening after the recording. That hot, sexy voice was enough to me to be like, wank, 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 spurt, done with the phone call. Every now and then, like one of these 1-800 numbers would have like a live operator pick up. They'd be like, hello, who am I speaking to? And I'd be like, oh shit, hang up now. Like, I am not ready for that kind of interaction. When I've told this to people before, they've said like, those were 1877 numbers or 1888, some 1900 numbers. I promise you, there were 1-800 number, toll-free numbers that I was dialing. Which is why it was so much of a surprise when a month later, my dad came down to the basement where I was playing Nintendo. To be honest, I was masturbating and then heard footsteps and quickly put my masturbation supplies away and tried to play Nintendo. And my dad said, Eric, can I talk to you a moment? And I said, sure, Dad, what's up? He said, can you explain why our phone bill this month was $750?
Oh shit, son.
And I was like, I mean, in my mind, I was like, yeah, I can explain that. Although I really couldn't, because I swear I thought that it was 1-800 numbers, which means toll free, which means you don't pay for it, which means it doesn't show up on your phone bill, and yet it did. So obviously I was doing something wrong or gotten some misinformation, but in that moment all I could think was how my body was covered in hot and cold shivers of embarrassment from being found out by my dad. What does this all have to do with anything, you might be asking? Well, we are about to ask you to confess something to us. Because just as I was unsuccessful at hiding my little sexual proclivities at the time, we would like you to confess to us. We are going to put a text number on the screen in just a moment, and then we're going to go to intermission and ask you to tell us a time that you unsuccessfully tried to hide your sexual activities. And we are going to read some of those confessions later in the show, but even more important than that, those confessions are going to be randomly drawn to receive either the Fun Factory package or the Missionary Chocolates package. So as we go to intermission here, why don't you tell us at this number right here.
If you're watching the show right now, which you are, take a photo of yourself watching the show and text that to us as well. You might end up on one of our social media outlets. We would love to see that. So please, please do that. We would love it.
Yeah. We should also thank the super chats that have come in since during that whole thing there. We have Andrew Rhodes. Oh, we just spoke to Andrew the other day.
Andrew, thank you. Andrew is Andrew is local. David, thank you so much.
Says, we appreciate you doing this. We have always wanted to go to a show since we heard about you earlier this year, but haven't had the opportunity. Thank you, David. Oh, that's so awesome. Hopefully we can have you come to the show sometime soon. And Miriam from New York City. Awesome. Wish we could get back to New York.
Great. Well, I've got Nicole here. Eric's going to be collecting those confessions during intermission. Nicole, I've kind of seeing some of the chat coming through. I know you've been keeping better track. I do want to address something before we get into questions or comments. Just because my sister is on here, the one who made these penis masks, and of course I invited my family to watch this show. With the understanding that I know that they might have some boundaries and not want to hear about my sex. And my sister commented, I don't know if you saw it, she said, Maybelle Edie never did that for me. I just wanted to tell everyone that Maybelle Edie was my sister's Cabbage Patch doll. Who had long ponytails and was like all beautiful with the green eyes. My doll's name was Brenda Phoebe. Nothing against the name Brenda, but she had like the short boy haircut. Boy hair. Many feminine people have shortcuts, but as a kid, so I also think I was kind of like punishing Brenda Phoebe by sitting on her face.
Did you give her that haircut, or is that the haircut she came with?
No, it's the haircut she came with.
And were those the names that they came with?
Those are the names that they came with. Yeah, they would come with birth certificates. And we lived in Germany at the time. And so there were no like American Cabbage Patch dolls just at the store. We had to order them from the States. And so it literally was like wading through a gestation period to get your Cabbage Patch doll. And then like hers came first and I was real mad. It was a whole story. I actually cut up some sheets that my mom spanked me over because I was mad that her doll came first. Anyway, just thought I would share that. As a reminder, folks, text in your photographs, selfies of yourselves watching the show right now or watching Intermission right now. Also, from now until the end of the show, that phone number that you're texting your confessions into, text us the photos of you as well. So, Nicole, what do we have?
Well, speaking of your family, someone was wondering if Christine was selling those masks as well as having the opportunity to win one through our confession card competition.
The penis-specific masks, I wonder? Probably.
I mean, that's what we were talking about, but I mean, if she's selling more, they might be interested.
Yeah, so I know that she's making a ton of masks in general and giving them to people for free of charge, but you can, I would ask her directly. She is on this chat, so Christine, if you're listening to this, please comment on, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this penis fabric is a limited edition fabric that was designed as a fundraiser for prostate cancer. So I don't know how much of it she has. So this is a special limited edition mask. So Christine, can you respond in the chat? And then Nicole, it's Christine McClellan. So you can see her response there. Otherwise, I'm sure she'd be okay with me telling you. You could find her on Facebook. If you look for Christine McClellan, you'll find her on Facebook and you can send her a message there as well.
All right. Another question that we had is a question I've heard before, but I never stopped loving the story behind it.
I'm going to stop you just for a minute, Nicole. Someone said we lost audio.
I haven't seen anyone else say.
So we don't know if that's specific to you, David, or just for a moment in the chat, can y'all tell us if you can hear us?
We shall see.
We still have audio. Okay.
Name, the story of the mystery box show. Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Which I've heard the story and I love the story.
So I'll tell the story since Eric isn't here, and then he might come back and say that I told it slightly askew. But so we've been doing the show for 8 years. I've been the executive producer for 7 of those 8 years, but for that first year, Eric was doing this storytelling show by himself. So he had seen other storytelling shows in town and had thought, ooh, I love when the sex stories happen. I wonder if there's a show dedicated to just sex stories. And he looked around and there wasn't. And so he was like, I'll just make one myself. And so the original idea behind the show was that there would be a prop associated with each of the stories. So we have this physical mystery box. Actually, Eric, is that box down here?
I can get it.
Yeah, go get the box.
All right.
Oh, we'll show you the box. So there was a mystery box on stage that he made by hand, which was really cute. And there was a prop inside associated with the sex story. That lasted for one show, because it turns out not only did people not want to tell sex stories on stage, like it was like pulling hair to get people to tell their stories. Audience wanted to hear it, but people didn't want to tell them. But it was also really hard to find a prop that was associated with it. So that lasted for one show, and one show only. This was the box. I don't know how well you can see it because I can't see myself very well. Wait, this way? This way. So sometimes you'll see this at our Confession Corner videos, which will be coming out next week, or check our YouTube channel for the other videos. But Eric is also an animator and a big fan of The Muppet Show and Jim Henson and all of that involved. And so there's a Sesame Street, is it Sesame Street or is it Muppet? Yeah, it's a Sesame Street skit between Kermit and Cookie Monster, and it's called The Mystery Box. And it's like, what is inside the mystery box? And they just have this very symbiotic, beautiful, because it was Jim Henson and who's and then Frank Oz. And they were just so good together and had such a good chemistry together, and they do this whole beautiful skit together, and he was just always in love with that skit. And so he just decided, like, I'm going to name it The Mystery Box. Really, it's named after Sesame Street, and the idea that maybe there would be a prop associated. In this case, I'll bring that full circle because here's my prop associated with my story today. But that's where the name comes from, and we were always of the belief that the name sort of adapts to the show that you're doing, and often people don't think about it. They just think, yeah, the Mystery Box show, it's this thing. Or a lot of people think that there's an innuendo associated with it, vaginas. But it's not, it has nothing to do with anatomy at all. Yeah, that's the name. So, I just got a text from my sister that says I have no more penis masks. It's out of print. I'm looking into Cheyenne to design some. So Cheyenne is my niece who is an art major. So maybe Cheyenne will be designing some. Yeah. What else have we got?
Well, one thing, let me see if I can scroll back up to where they are now. Oh, I lost them. But someone and their friend are doing a drinking game for every pun that they hear. It was around the whole puns that were happening a few minutes ago. Not that we, encourage irresponsible drinking, but I do love the idea of some games, especially when you're not able to connect with each other in person right now, being able to watch a show together and have some sort of game, some sort of interaction.
Yes. Yes, good. I'm also looking at the chats over here. I wanted to address, Ted says, I don't have the ability to text. If you want to, you can email us if you have that ability at mysterybox@mysteryboxshow.com. So you can email in your confession. It won't be anonymous, obviously, but you can do that. And also photographs, if you're taking selfies while you're watching this, we would love to see that.
Yeah, that's actually a better way to get photos is through email.
Yeah, photos through email is great.
Yeah.
Oh, T English is asking what's the current status of the next wardrobe prop. So we're at $460. If we get $40 more, I might put on, I got some elf ears.
Please? That you're going to put them on in? Like, do you have a final costume in your head that you want to achieve?
It's tricky because my instinct is the more money we get, the more clothes I want to take off. But this is YouTube and I can't do that. So it's tricky. I've got some pretty special glasses, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited about my elf ears. I can always, I've got a whole costume room. So I just have all the accessories. If anyone wants to shout out an accessory they'd like me to put on, I probably have it and I can go get it.
Which size cauldron do you want to bring out onto the video?
Which size cauldron?
As someone who has been in Reba's costume and decoration room, there is an unlimited stash.
There's unlimited sizes of cauldrons. That's true. Were you here or did Eric just tell you about that?
No, I was here for that.
You were here? It was a Halloween party, yeah?
Yes, and Reba asked for a cauldron to put some sort of decoration or food into, and Eric came back up with several cauldron options, saying for the table.
Right, I think I was like, Eric, will you go get a cauldron for the chips? Or something like that, right? And he came back upstairs and he had 5 different sizes, and he was like, which cauldron?
Everyone's got to have multiple cauldrons,
Yeah. Oh, Russell Mickler says, check your PayPal account. Check PayPal. Yeah, I think we're starting to approach the end of intermission. And I'm wondering, Eric, have we gotten some confessions in?
We have gotten so many confessions.
Ooh, folks love the confessions. Last time we did the live stream, we were like, holy shit, so many confessions. This is amazing. So it sounds like that has happened again, which is super fun. And should we bring Eric back on? Let's hear some of those confessions.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Nicole, for handling the intermissionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, does someone want me to put the strap on as an accessory? Was that what that meant, Michael?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for all of the super chats coming in. Yeah, this is so awesome. Have you been calling them out? I wasn't in the room.
I haven't been calling out the super chats, but here's one accessory. We're $12 away from hitting 500.
This is Beatrice.
This is Beatrice Mabel. She's the love of my life.
She's the best cat in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, we won't tell your cats that we said that about her.
Oh, Catherine Kristen, thank you so much for the super
Catherine
chat.
Kirsten? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Russell, and Peter
Pooja. And Pooja. Oh.
And T English again. Oh, T English, thank you so much. Yeah, we can't wait to find some way to get out onto the East Coast, you know, when traveling opens back up and getting out there. Yeah, so confessions.
Yeah, let's hear them.
We have been getting them like gangbusters. Is that how texts come in, like gangbusters? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're gonna read a couple out loud here, totally anonymously. I love this. We noticed this last time. Many people texted us first by saying, "I hope this is the right number." So at the very least, if you are hearing your confession now, it is the right number. Why don't you start off with this one?
Okay, the one at the top?
This one here.
Okay. I stole my mom's massager to masturbate, and it caused my parents' computer in the next room to short circuit. Whoa, that is so powerful. Okay, they knocked on my door and asked what I was doing. I said, nothing, and kept turning it back on, shorting out their computer and denying it until I got off.
Oh, man. That is a powerful vibrator.
That's what I just said.
Like, what kind of... Oh,
massager.
Massager. Yeah, what kind of... Gosh. When I was 15, I spent a lot of time in AOL's Flirts Nook, sex chatting with adult women. I focused a lot on the texture of things when I talked to them. I thought my username was hidden well enough until my dad brought it up at dinner. That username, Smooth Silk.
Wait, is that because your dad was in the chat room?
Oh no!
Also?
Don't even go. Oh no.
I mean, how else did he know? My senior year of high school, I had a boy over after school to do homework. We told my mom that we were studying and closed my bedroom door. Things got a little heated, and just as I'm pulling down his pants, my mom opens the door, gasps, and then slams the door. He and I scurry apart, and he gets his pants back up. My mom slowly opens the door again and stares at us blankly. After what felt like a fucking eternity, she finally said, I didn't realize you were studying human anatomy, Brittany.
Oh, snap, Mom. Let's go two more. We also have an opportunity to read some more in a little bit. Let's see here. I was about 12, and my family went and visited my great aunt and uncle. They had a built-in swimming pool. I found that the jets on my clit could do something for me, a feeling I'd never had before, and I didn't know where that feeling would end. I edged myself over and over. When I got out of the pool and went inside, my great uncle informed me he'd seen me in the pool and knew exactly what I was doing. I wanted to die.
Why would he say that? Why would he say that? Why wouldn't you just be quiet? Why would he say that? Wow, we, like Eric said, have more confessions we'll read to you in a little bit. Also, don't forget, we have a new series called Confession Corner where we read these confessions to
right
you
here on YouTube.
On the YouTube channel. It's not live streaming, but you'll be able to have access to it on the YouTube channel. Hit that subscription and then the notification bell. And for now, we're going to get to our third storyteller this evening.
Absolutely. We are so excited to have our very first live streaming long distance storyteller. This woman got in touch with us after she had heard about the channel for a very specific reason that we might go into after, maybe in the after party. We'll reveal that in the after party. But for now, this next storyteller is a vision impairment consultant and advocate. She is from Corsicana, Texas. Folks, will you please welcome to the Mystery Box Show, Heather Marcus.
I was driving down the highway feeling sexy as hell. It was mid-October and I had the sunroof of my sports little tooling around car down, and I just was loving life. I was on my way to my job as a college government professor. I was 28 years old. You know, I still felt like a kid, but I was really confident knowing that I had put in the work to deserve to be there. And to be honest with you, I was just a walking, talking lady boner because everything about life was a turn on. And that included my kick-ass girlfriend, Lainey. We had met and there were fireworks immediately. I loved this blonde Wednesday Addams that had this dark sense of humor, but really loved the outdoors. And the color of her eyes, I couldn't even get over it. They're this grayish blue that I had never seen before. And there was something in them that I knew that I had to explore. And we built our connection. It was something that our brains were trying to catch up to something that our souls already knew. And that translated over to the first night that we spent together. We were at our apartment playing our favorite classic rock songs and just making sweet, sweet love. There was, it's hard to explain how amazing it was. At one point in time, I left my body and watched myself enjoy this person that I had known from some previous lifetime. And we built an amazing connection because of everything that we had worked on. We had exposed parts of our soul to each other to the point that we knew that we could be vulnerable with our clothes off, with our minds open, with everything that was going on. And I replay that all the time, seeing her skin. It's so smooth, like butter. I just wanted to like, put her on a piece of toast and just eat her up. And like, of course I did. But I was replaying that night as I drove, and I flew right past my exit. It was not like me at all. I made that drive dozens of times that semester alone, but 100 more times going back to driver's ed. But for some reason, I had missed all those visual cues that I usually picked up on. And I realized it wasn't because I didn't see them, it was that I couldn't. And right then the light bulb went off. I couldn't ignore the fact that my eyesight had been failing for the past few months. And I knew I had to go to the eye doctor. Like, ugh, fuck. I hate going to the doctor. But, you know, Lainey and I were still in this sort of prowling around sex kitten phase. And so we decided to make a day of it. We went to the eye doctor, and I was jazzed. I was like, cool, we'll get this done and then go and have some fun. But when the doctor looked in my eyes, she moved that little robot owl thing to the side and looked at me and said, you need to go to the hospital right now. Who needs to what, where? No, like dry Sahara Desert crotch, nothing sexy about that. I was paralyzed, but Lainey took my hand and she held it on the drive to the hospital and until I was admitted, and there was a parade of doctors that went by and they were all like, coming to see. And I was like, who are you and what do you want? They're like, we want to look at you, you freak. And I was like, cool, great. Am I a science experiment? Come on. So they ran test after test. It was unbelievable. They wanted to see if I had lupus, Lyme disease, midichlorians, anything and everything under the sun that they could think of. And this went on for 2 years of just hospital visits and blood tests. Literally, they took so much blood from me, I was convinced the hospital was a front for Count Dracula. It was unbelievable. And on top of in addition to my body, the whole process drained my spirit. There was nothing that I could do that I loved. Everything had been taken away from me. I couldn't play volleyball. And usually I was able to track a 90-mile-an-hour serve from 50 feet away and pass it on a dime, no problem. There are university records with my name on them for what I did on the volleyball court. And then I couldn't see my own face in the mirror. It was unbelievable. I didn't feel like myself. I had no sexiness. I didn't feel sexy as hell. I just felt like hell. And I was totally dysfunctional when it came to sex. Usually, I'm like the Williams sisters, right? I'm great on my own and pretty darn good in doubles. So as I started to feel less and less like myself, the less that I could do what I loved, my relationship also started to fail. I felt like a failure. I felt like a burden. I felt like a hospital patient and not the sexy professor that I knew I was meant to be. It was a huge bummer. Lainey started to feel rejected because of the way that I couldn't respond to her sexually. She would touch me in all the same ways. Going back to that first night, she has a move where she runs her hands up my thighs and like holds onto my hips. Oh my gosh, it would drive me crazy. And she would try to do that, and nothing about me would respond. She would initiate morning nookie, like something to kind of get you out of bed. And I was like, no, thanks. I just need to lay here and be useless. I felt useless. How is that even possible? I had so much that I wanted to do. And then I was completely unable to do it. I couldn't even be a good girlfriend. Ugh, it was terrible. And about a year after that, after my second cataract surgery, Lainey and I were sitting on our couch just in complete silence. We were exhausted and completely drained and just, oh my goodness. But earlier that day, I had kind of come to an existential reckoning because my doctor said that even though my vision was still blurry, he had done the best that he could. And it was probably going to be the best that it was going to get. It would have been disappointing. But after all of that, I was glad to know kind of what my new normal was going to be. And that kind of allowed me to stop resisting and to accept my new circumstances. And in that moment, I realized my circumstances were that I'm sitting next to this person who I love, and I'm wasting all this time being angry and disappointed. She had been there the entire time, holding my hand, looking into my eyes. Even though I couldn't see those eyes, I knew that she was there. But my cataract surgery had cleared up some of the blurriness. And as we were sitting there, I looked on the coffee table, and this little protective eye patch that the doctor had given me to wear for a couple nights post-surgery was there. And I put it up to my eye and I said, "Hey, Lainey, you want to make out with the pirate? I love you, matey." And she kind of laughed, like, "You dork." And right in that moment, we were sitting close enough that I saw that grayish blue. And I was glad to have put a spark in those eyes and like make her laugh. It made me feel so good. It made me feel like me again. And in that moment, I knew I couldn't let that feeling go. I told her, "Babe, I can see your eyes." And we were like, "Oh shit," like a little bit of celebration, a few tears, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I knew I had to reconnect with her. I asked her to be my big spoon, and we just kind of laid there for a second. And our heartbeats synced up. And it was so wonderful. I felt like I could feel her again. I had felt so many negative things that it was so nice to just be and to feel. I could feel her heartbeat in all the places that our skin touched. And I just sat there and felt her. And I felt us. And I felt like me again. I felt some sort of sexiness. And I turned around to face her, and we just started to kiss. And she rubbed my arms, and it felt so good to feel this new sensation. All of my senses had been compensating for my lack of vision. And oh my goodness, the new sensory input set my brain on fire. I could feel the muscle contractions in her legs as I went down on her. It was like, oh my goodness, I could feel what I was doing to her. and it was wonderful. Oh my gosh. I could feel her diaphragm as her breath would quicken or slow down. Oh, and it was just so luscious and cathartic to go through that experience. And I I had a new appreciation almost for how my new life could be. And I knew that I could be sexual, and I knew that I could tap into all of those new ways of interacting with my world. And, plus now I'm an X-Men, and my superpower is ESSP, extra sexy sensory perception.
Heather Marcus, everybody.
Heather, fantastic. Heather, I can't wait for the after party so you can see all these incredible comments that are coming in about your story and how lovely that was, and sexy and lovely at the same time.
It was perfect.
Love it so much. Folks, we've got a couple more confessions we would love to read aloud to you now. Is it up on the screen?
Not yet, but so we also know that if you want to keep confessing, the confessions that we don't read right now, like Reba said, we have a new YouTube series we're calling Confession Corner. So we're getting so many confessions, we can't get to all of them during the show, but we can get to them on the Confession Corner. So if you want to keep confessing, we're going to put that... Okay, we should have sound back now.
Can you hear us now?
Folks, this is only our second time doing this, and we are still working out some of the, shall we say, kinks? That sounds appropriate.
Hashtag all the holes.
So you should be hearing sound from us now. Thank you all for letting us know about any potential technical difficulties. Reba knows that I take those particularly hard, and we'll get those worked out for next time, you can be sure, for our June 12th show.
Yeah, I want to make sure, there's about a 60-second delay, so I want to make sure in the chat we hear people saying we have sound.
It's back.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what you heard and what you didn't hear, but what we were saying is that you can send us in confessions. The number is up on the screen, and at any point tonight, you can send in those confessions, and in fact, you can take a screenshot and send in those confessions the rest of the week if you want to.
And the thing is, we're getting so many confessions tonight, we aren't going to be able to get them all onto this live stream, but that's why Reba was telling you about the Confession Corner, our new series on YouTube.
Right, so if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell, you will be notified as to when the next episode in the series comes out, which is always a lot of fun. So we're going to do a couple confessions for you now. Isn't this exciting? I think it's kind of exciting when we have tech glitches, because then you know it's live theater.
Reba's saying that specifically because I like when that happens when we're in the audience at live theater. It just doesn't feel great on the other end. That's not important. We are all having a great time.
We are. All right. So this next confession, even though we
I would
say...
just do the first name, actually, since people can hear us now.
That's all I said was the first name.
And not the location.
I'm not going to say a name or a location. This is an anonymous confession that came in. My son came to me one morning, red-faced with embarrassment, and said, "Mom, can you not be so loud? I heard you last night, and you sounded like a walrus."
A walrus?
Okay, I have so many questions. What were you doing? How old was your son? Why did you sound like a walrus? Feel free to text that on in.
Let's see what else we got.
Or respond in the chat.
Also, just something I just wanted to respond to in the chat that I just saw. I think this deserves some kind of congratulation. Rumbles of Revolution, 6 months no booze. That's pretty awesome. That sounds like a milestone. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I also want to say we are $12 away from elf ears.
Oh.
Thank you. We are getting one-time donations through the through PayPal going on right now. It just doesn't track it on YouTube for us. So $12, and I've got those elf ears.
How did one of you try to hide your sexual proclivities but fail big time? Well, my daughter was quite adept at sneaking out of a window and leaving the house when she was in high school. One night, while masturbating to porn on my computer, she managed to sneak in the back door. Her room was next to my computer room. I had assumed that she was already in bed, so I had been very quiet. She was very quiet when she entered the computer room, and said, "Hi, Dad." I jumped up, cock in hand, while she did a quick exit to her room. She was never that quiet coming home again. Ooh. Oh, I feel like I know that feeling of like discovering something you shouldn't have, and then making sure you stomp your way around the next time.
Should we do one more?
Yeah.
Okay. These are long confessions. I should say, if you've got long confessions, maybe you have a story for the Mystery Box Show.
Oh, yeah, totally. Pitch stories to us. Go to our website, mysteryboxshow.com. We could get you on the live stream if you got a story. We work with our storytellers. We coach them. Reba and me and Nicole, we work with you and make the story perfect for the show.
All right. Last one before our next and last storyteller. When I was about 15, I discovered that I liked the feeling of something inserted into my ass. So I found a kind of fat ink pen in my house and used it one night. Well, I managed to draw on my butt cheek, which of course I had no way of knowing. The next morning, my mom was giving me an insulin shot in my butt cheek. She saw my drawing. She asked me, how did that get there? I tried to explain it away very lamely, but she didn't buy it. So to keep her from concluding I had been molested, I had to confess, oh, it's awful. So embarrassing. And then in parentheses, it says, 55-year-old male here.
Quick announcement from Angela T. $12. Would love to see those elf ears.
It's happening.
Everybody.
Thank you, Angela. Oh, I love this.
What have you got? What are your elf ears?
What? Eric's like surprised. I have so many costumes and accessories. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know.
It is an endless room of requirement in there.
Only Harry Potter fans know what you're talking about.
That's all I need.
Is it on?
Oh, yeah.
Are we live?
Look at your elf
Can
ears.
you hear me now? Happening?
We can hear you.
I know.
Because elf ears.
It's an ear joke.
Got it. Sometimes I'm a little slow. Not just sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Madam Butterfly elf ears. Totally, Andrew.
Oh my gosh.
You got it?
I think I'm having a little trouble. Bam. All right, folks, are you ready? We have one more storyteller for you this evening, and then stick around for the after party where you can talk to the storytellers, ask them questions, chat about the stories that you just saw and heard, and then I'm going to fix this elf ear. But this last storyteller we have for you, this is actually his second time on the Mystery Box Show. He's a fan fave. You can also find his last story on our YouTube channel if you search for his name. He is a former chef and a fantastic storyteller. So give it up in your living room arena for James Cox.
Woo!
Every day at 4:30 at the kitchen of the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco where I worked, it would get dead quiet. And it would get dead quiet every day at 4:30 because Amy, the hottest woman that worked in the sales office, would come down every day at 4:30 with some VIP requests and drop them off in the room service office. And she would absolutely come in like a hurricane. Robert, who's working tonight? Tobias? Damn it. I wanted Frank to be working. Frank's smart. He won't mess everything up. Chef James. That was me. Are you working tonight late? Good, because Tom Cruise and Michael Jordan are both coming in. She was a force. She was a superstar in the sales office, very intelligent. She was funny as hell, and she was gorgeous. Naturally curly, long red hair, piercing blue eyes. Every straight male cook in the entire place totally wanted to hook up with Amy. And I was a straight male cook, and while I was married when I first met her, I lusted after Amy hard. Now, because it was the end of her shift, she would often hang out and kill time away from the office, flirting. Amy really liked to flirt. She flirted with everybody. Hey, Chef James, you want to go up to 919 and check the... And like I said, I was married, so it was kind of fun to flirt with her and pretty harmless. Hey, Chef James, Mick Jagger's in 901 this week. We should have a threesome. That's a great idea, Amy. Why don't we ask my wife to come with us and we can all go golfing afterwards? But, you know, I told some people one night that I had separated from my wife, and it went through the hotel like wildfire. I had 2 days off, and when I came back to work, everybody in the hotel knew. And it got to be 4:30 and the kitchen got really quiet, and then I started feeling my pulse going crazy because it didn't seem to be that harmless anymore. And we hear the ding of the elevator and her heels in the hallway, and my palms got really sweaty, and it felt like my hamstrings got about 3 inches shorter than what they should have. And she came around, dropped her VIP requests off in the office, didn't say a word, walked right over to me, leaned across the cutting board and said, "Is it true? I heard you and your wife split up." And I said, "Yeah, it's true." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you doing okay?" And I said, yeah, I'm doing okay. You know, no good marriage ever ended in divorce." And she nodded. And then she said, "You know, some of the girls from sales are going to go down to the bank tomorrow night." That was a bar we all went to. "We're going to go down to the bank tomorrow night after work. Come on down after you get off. I'll buy you a drink." And she turned around and walked away very slowly and very deliberately, fully aware that every single guy in that kitchen was staring at her, including me. She got to the door and she turned and gave me a little smile and said, "See you tomorrow night." And I got to tell you, I was instantly every cook in that entire kitchen's hero. I got about 15 high fives. It was high fives until I went home that night. And, you know, I got to admit, it felt pretty good. Now, I got off work on Friday and I went down to the bar, go figure. And I don't know what I said or how it really happened, but I ended up leaving with her. We were kind of making out at the bar, and I walked her home, and we'd stop every couple of blocks and make out and feel each other up. And I thought, this is exactly what I need after my marriage, a friend with benefits. I need a fuck buddy. So we got to her place and she kissed me goodnight, and I went home and I was over the moon. I had convinced myself that that's exactly what I needed, was a friend with benefits, even though I had no concept of what that even meant. Now, not ever having had a friend with benefits before, the next day at work, I didn't really know what to expect. And really nothing changed. She came in at 4:30 and my palms got sweaty and we flirted. And nothing was appreciably different until the Ritz-Carlton management team building exercise a couple of weeks later. Now, the exercise was a ropes course in the morning and a ski trip in the afternoon and a drunken bus ride home at night. We were on the bus headed back to San Francisco. It was pretty late. It was dark out. The alcohol was flowing. I was sitting up front of the bus with some of the other chefs and we were singing, and suddenly Amy appears next to me. She takes me by the hand and takes me further back down the bus, and we find an empty seat and we hide under our coats, and in the dark there at the back of the bus, we went way beyond what would even be remotely considered acceptable at a work event. We were making out like teenagers. I still remember how hot her pussy felt through her white, skin-tight nylon ski pants. I remember telling her, you know, human resources is going to have a field day with us. And she was like, "Fuck HR," and unzipped my pants. And I got to tell you, I was a deer in the headlights. So we get back to the hotel a little after 11. And I figure it's my chance. So I say, you want to come back to my place? And she looks at me and says, I gotta pee. And she walks away and disappears. And I didn't know what to think. I mean, here was this situation that I thought I wanted, this friends with benefits. And at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, maybe Amy's like thing material. I mean, we're making out in front of people we both know. We must be a thing, right? And there's this battle going on in my brain, like an angel and a devil on my shoulder. One of them saying, hey, you just want a friend with benefits, just have a fuck buddy. And on the other shoulder was something else saying, she's something, you got to think about. But she came back from the bathroom and said, so what, did you get a cab? Come on, are we leaving? Let's go. And I went with the fuck buddy argument. So we get back to my apartment, and within 90 seconds of her dropping her skis in the hallway, we were both naked. It was incredible. She always looked gorgeous in whatever she wore, but naked, she was an absolute goddess. She let me leave the lights on, which after 9 years of fucking in the dark was pretty cool. And it was an absolute fuck fest. I mean, she had been a scholarship soccer player in college and was incredibly strong. And we were kind of wrestle fucking, and she legitimately pinned me. I mean, she threw me around like a rag doll. She started tickling me, and I hate being tickled. And I told her, and she looked at me with those dewy blue eyes, and in a kind of a whiny little girl voice, apologized, and then proceeded to give me the most profoundly enthusiastic blowjob I have ever had. It was awesome. I kind of moved in behind her to have sex with her doggy style, and she made us get on the floor so we could watch in the mirror on the back of the door. I was over the moon. And, it didn't really occur to me till later that we never talked about anything the whole night. I mean, once we got off the bus, we didn't even really kiss. We just got to my apartment, got naked, and started fucking. And I wasn't really too concerned about it at the time. But, we fell asleep, and she got up in the morning and went back to her house, and I gave her a call later because, you're supposed to do that. And I left a message vaguely recommending that we meet up for some, future time. But I never heard back from her. She never called me back. And it got to be the next Tuesday going back to work, and every cook wanted to know what was going on. There were cooks from other departments in that kitchen. Everybody had heard about our drunken bus ride, and everybody wanted to see what Amy was going to do. And I kind of figured she was going to turn the corner, drop her papers in a cascade, and run towards me with her arms outstretched in slow motion like a toilet paper commercial. But Amy came in the kitchen, dropped off the VIP requests, gave me a little wave, and left. No flirting, nothing. Now, when she had invited me to the bar a couple of weeks earlier, there were high fives all around, and I panicked. I figured I hadn't shagged her well enough, and she was talking smack about me to everybody up in the office. I didn't know what to think. I actually felt kind of ashamed. Now, later that night, we were cleaning up the kitchen after sending a plated dinner party, and the phone in the banquet kitchen rang. Thank you for calling the Ritz-Carlton Banquet Kitchen. This is James speaking. How may I assist you? And Amy said to me, you may assist me, James speaking, by coming over to my apartment when you get off work tonight and fucking me again. Now, this was a big deal for me because I was 31 years old and I had never had a booty call before. It was the very, very first time. And it was fantastic. Apparently, I hadn't disappointed her like I thought I had. For the next couple of weeks, we fucked all the time. We didn't really go on dates per se. Amy just worked that booty call. See, she worked 9 to 5, but I was a chef. I worked late. She'd get off work, go have some drinks with her friends, hit on guys and get all horny, and then call me. At the beginning, it was awesome. I'd head over to her place. We'd order a Domino's pizza, her choice, certainly not mine. And then we'd fuck the night away. But just like Domino's isn't really pizza, booty calls are not a relationship. I mean, I had never had a friend with benefits before, but as soon as Amy and I started fucking, I quit asking other women out. I'm just naturally a monogamous. But no matter what I thought, no matter what I tried, we just weren't a thing. Now, the employee holiday party shows up, and it's an Oscars theme. And so they ask everybody to dress in their red carpet best. I had to work that day, so I got there a little late, but I saw Amy as soon as I got there. I mean, you couldn't miss her. She was absolutely gorgeous. She was wearing a hand-beaded, backless Gucci floor-length gown, Manalo Blahnik fuck me pumps, and maybe panties, but that was debatable at this point in the evening. She looked delicious, but we weren't there together. We didn't come there together. We didn't eat together. We didn't dance together. We didn't even talk. She was over there looking gorgeous, living her best life, surrounded by her friends, and I was over here stewing about it, mad. Well, it got to be the end of the party and after party plans are being made. And I was kind of feeling sorry for myself when Amy slides up next to me and says, "Hey, grab your coat. I want to leave." It's like, "Well, where do you want to go?" She says, "Oh, I want to go to North Beach." I was like, "Well, what do you want to go to North Beach for?" She goes, I want to go to a strip club. I've never been to one and I want to go. Well, I'm not much of a strip club guy, but I used to live up in North Beach. There is no way I was going to take this Gucci clad goddess to the rat hole strip clubs up in North Beach. So we got a cab and I said, "Take us to Mitchell Brothers, the Disneyland of San Francisco strip clubs, the place that literally invented the lap dance." On the way, I stopped at an ATM and emptied my bank account. Now we get to the club and she is shocked that they charge her admission. She thought she was going to get in free. And I explained to her there in the lobby of the strip club that even the girls working the floor have to pay to get in. That's how this whole thing works. And they have to charge so much money because they can't sell alcohol because the girls get completely naked. And right there in the lobby of Mitchell Brothers, we had the first dialogue we had ever had in almost 2 months. It was the closest thing to a conversation between the two of us. I thought it was great. She's smart. It was a lot of fun, and it was over as quickly as it had begun. She was there to see pole dancing. She did not want to talk. So we went around to see everything. She was very impressed by the conditioning of the dancers, their athletic ability. She kind of enjoyed the aerial show, not so much the girl-on-girl Jello wrestling. It's always kind of been my fantasy to be with two women at once. And the closest thing I ever got was I bought her a lap dance. And I had her pick out a dancer, and she was shocked at how much money I was throwing around to make all this happen. But, you know, she got the lap dance and teased me as much as the dancer did. And it was erotic and it was exotic. And I don't know, I was surprisingly uncomfortable. I mean, I realized that I wasn't really having that much fun. I was supposed to be, and I was pretending to have the time of my life. I mean, anybody would gladly trade places with me, any straight man. But somehow we just weren't together. So we'd been there for a while, and I offered to get her another lap dance, and she seemed to have an agenda. She made it abundantly clear that she wanted to fuck me there. And I explained to her that having sex in a strip club is public indecency and that the bouncers would target me for the beating. So maybe it wasn't such a good idea. She wasn't hearing it. So we wound up in a booth with a little curtain behind us that faced a semi-private stage. And it was open to the stage, and only the booth directly across from us could see into it. And that was apparently private enough for Amy. And as the dancing started, she turned around to face me and started going down on me. And I noticed a couple of the dancers kind of pointing at us. So I pulled her back up off her knees and turned around and acted like we were dancing and having fun, and she wasn't having it. She started grinding on me, and I stopped thinking straight and lifted up that hand-beaded Gucci dress and discovered at that moment that she was wearing panties. And I unzipped my fly and fucked her from behind there in a booth at Mitchell Brothers. And it was freaking awesome. It was one of the most erotic things I've ever done. She kept doing this hair flip thing. And I mean, looking at her gorgeous body, her soccer player ass backed up to me, these bright, flaming red rock and roll hair flips like the guy from Whitesnake, the strippers gathered, giggling, pointing at us. I achieved peak external validation. It was incredible. I climaxed, didn't take long. And then I felt nothing, empty. Just like one of Amy's favorite Domino's pizzas. It's pizza technically, but it's devoid of the soul of a pizza. And as I was pulling her dress back down over her ass and zipping up my fly, I realized that we were in increasingly deeper danger of being caught, and we needed to get out of there. So I took her by the hand and we got out, took a cab back to her place. I got home about 6 that morning and took a bit of a nap, and I realized that I just really wasn't happy with my situation, even though it was entirely my own creation, even though any straight man trade places with me. You know, booty calls are not a relationship. I wanted romance. Amy wasn't interested in romance. You know, Amy was gorgeous. She was beautiful. She was smart. She was unstoppable. But I also wanted warm and emotionally available. And I got to work that night, and it got to be about 9 o'clock and the phone rang, and about 50 different emotions went through my body. And I picked it up, and it was Amy, and it was her booty call. And for the very first time, I had to tell her that I wasn't going to come. I wasn't coming over. And she was shocked. She said, you're really not going to come over? And I said, no, I just can't. And that was the last time we ever talked. We never flirted again. We never went out, nothing. And at the end, all those emotions were really boiled down to relief, because it just wasn't working for me. You know, I wanted somebody who I could make breakfast in bed for. Amy wasn't interested in any of that. And besides, I hate Domino's.
Oh, James Cox, everybody.
James Cox. I guess we just lost Domino's as a sponsor.
Oh. James, thank you for rounding out such a fantastic evening with such a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Everybody, give it up one more time for everybody you've heard tonight. James Cox, Heather Marcus, Jason Rouse, of course, Nicole, I'm Eric, Reba Sparrow and her incredible story, and Beatrice Mabel Bumblebee. You have all been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be back with a live stream on Friday, June 12th. That'll be our Pride live stream.
Yeah, it's our Pride show, and I will announce this tomorrow, but if any of you are Risk fans, the Risk show, the Risk podcast, you'll know the founder and host, Kevin Allison, and he will be one of our guests. We have an incredible lineup for June 12th, but in case you're super excited about Risk, join us to see Kevin telling a story that he's never told before on the Mystery Box Show or anywhere else. So we're really excited for that, as well as the other storytellers. Absolutely.
We couldn't be more thrilled for all of your support that you've shown to us tonight, all of our patrons, everybody who's donated to us. It really means the world I'm getting choked up, to have your support to keep this show going in these uncertain times. We're still in very uncertain times, especially as far as performers are concerned. Thank you to everybody help keeping the world safe out there. We hope you are all safe and healthy.
Yeah, and again, thank you so much for your financial contributions today through the Super Chat. And as a reminder, we have a Patreon account at patreon.com/mysteryboxshow. Also at our website, mysteryboxshow.com, you can do a one-time donation through PayPal there. All of those funds go directly back into the show. They help us to pay the storytellers. We're still trying to pay our staff and our storytellers during this time. Stick around for the after party time. We generally have an after party in the green room. It's a really fun time. Right now it's like a Q&A session time. We're going to read a couple more confessions.
We're going to bring everybody up on screen all at once.
Yes.
Are we ready for that, everybody?
We're ready. Bring everyone up.
Unmute yourselves, everybody. It is after party time. The show was awesome, and you are all fantastic.
Woo, woo.
Here we all are.
Yeah. Oh, people are giving some love to Nicole. I agree with that. Thank you, Nicole, for being amazing all the time. Heather wants to know what everyone's drinking at the after party. Heather, you can speak for yourself, I guess.
Well, yeah. I was just curious. What's everybody drinking? Or smoking?
Smoking.
Is Reba still drinking carrot juice?
You know, I started out with carrot juice. And I ended up with some white wine by a local queer-run winery that I really love, Ram Cellars. So a little plug to Ram Cellars. I don't know if they distribute nationally or if that's just local. Do you know?
I don't know.
Well, look them up. Ram Cellars. Great stuff. What are you drinking? Nice photo bomb. Who's photobombing?
Beatrice.
Oh, my cat.
Yeah.
She knows she's the star of the show. We're photobombing her. Accurate. One more pun for the fan. What's everyone drinking?
Chris?
Sorry, Nicole could be moderating these. I just took over.
Oh, someone's drinking blood out there, so we've got some vampires in the
Oh,
audience.
do we have people coming in from Transylvania again? Last show we had folks watching from Transylvania. Remind us again, if you didn't at the top of the show, where are you tuning in from? I know before we had some folks from Australia and from Myrtle Beach, folks in Colorado, California.
From my hometown in Buffalo.
Let's rock. Wine here.
Some modest tea drinkers as well. That's nice. It is a nice, cozy evening. It's raining here. I don't know where they are, but
Now we're getting rain too. It's like all day.
I have a question for.
Yeah, it's
I want to
good for
ask.
just like.
I want to ask everybody here different questions. I was just going to ask Jason something, but he has ducked out of the frame.
I thought we were going to talk with Heather's consent. We were going to tell people how she found us.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is
Heather-
that okay, Heather? Why don't you share with?
Hey, should I say it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my college friends sent me a video from I wish I could remember who it was. I think it was a girl who was having who was like trying out a threesome with the guy she was dating. I don't remember what the video was, but that's how I got turned on to the mystery box. But along with the clip, she said, "Hey dude, you remember what we nicknamed your hoo-ha in college?" And I was like, yeah. She was my mystery box, because if you lined up all of my exes and asked, like, hey, what do they have in common? It would be like, we don't know. They've all been to ACL. Like, you would never think that, like, oh, they've all dated the same person. Just because, I dig on vibes. So,
You like the variety.
yeah.
That's
Gotta
like
keep it fresh.
That's like full circle to the person who asked how the Mystery Box show got its name. We're just gonna change it to say we named it after Heather.
Yeah. I'd be like, yeah. Or just like a big question mark on my, like.
Rose is drinking a lychee shandy. Girl, you fancy. Sorry, they. Rose is the they. I apologize for the pronoun. I know that because I happen to know Rose. Also, thank you for sending in your pictures. As a reminder, we've gotten quite a few folks who have sent in selfies while watching the show, and some are coming through the text, and some on our end are saying that it's a little too large. So you can always send that picture through to mysterybox@mysteryboxshow.com. Of course, I didn't say this out loud. Maybe it is assumed that it might end up on social media if you send us a picture. So
Hopefully we have your consent for that.
yeah.
So buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Yes. Greetings from Guam.
Oh, hello.
Wow. Awesome. Thank
Originally
you.
from Washington. My goodness. And Pooja, thank you again for that super chat. That one that just came through.
Yes.
That's awesome. So for people who are performers, like Jason, I was curious about you. Like, are you feeling the lack of being in front of actual people?
I was, but I got over it.
You adapted?
I did. It's okay. I've gotten to a place where it's okay to sort of, sit out, and yeah. At first it was weird. This is the longest I've gone without, staying in front of a group of people. But it's the way it is, and I've just tried to maybe bury it deep. But no, I'm okay. It's weird. It's weird.
I have another question for Jason. This is now the Jason show. Can we talk just a little bit about, I know we talked about this during the coaching process, like Sarah was allergic to you? What?
That's what I thought it was, because that was, yeah.
Yeah, like what was really going on though? I mean, is that just like, it's just a mystery conclusion?
Yeah, it never happened to her since. When we know we were still friends. I mean, I ran into her years later, and she, I'm like, has this ever happened? She's like, it never happens. So, It was me. It was me. It could have been other factors, but it's not an episode of House. I don't have a team to go investigate why her body looked so. It looked terrible. It looked like she was beaten with a hammer.
I wonder if anyone watching, has this happened to any of you before? It's just so curious and interesting.
Have I made out with any of you?
We'd like to out Jason a little bit more right now, if anyone watching.
Yeah.
Maybe we should conduct
Anyone
a sample,
in Pueblo,
Jason.
Colorado got a story? I'm joking. Never.
Jason, we should conduct a sample and ask you just to make out with a random group of people. See how that turns out.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Scientific experiments and things.
Oh, another super chat just came in from Bob Flynn. Thank you.
Where's the first control group? That's what we need, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah. She's a very nice person.
We have a question for James specifically out there as well. One of our commenters is wondering if the strip club incident killed your public sex escapades, or if there were more semi-public stories after that.
Well, that was a very unique experience, nothing along those lines, but I did later in life discover a little bit of an exhibitionist bent. I have to admit, it's I don't know if it harkens back to that night or where it really comes from, but I enjoy, as Jason mentioned, I enjoy being on stage, and I think that carries over into other areas of my life. If we all want to do a little simple math.
Sounds like you might have another story for us sometime.
I know, in my head I'm like, what? Tell me now, what?
I was going to call you, actually. We'll talk later.
We'll chat. Yeah. What else is going on? I see somebody here who we read one of their confessions said, Reba, I can answer your questions about my confessions if you'd like. Right, if you recall, her son walked in on her and said she sounded like a walrus. Walked in the next day and said you sounded like a walrus. Please do, Dawn. Let us know in the chat, and then Nicole, if that comes in, if you'd like to. Yeah. Totally.
Would love to hear more. Absolutely.
What else we got? I'm scrolling. Yeah. Heather, how are you now? I wonder if the people want to know. How's your sex life, Heather?
I thought you were going to ask for the eyesight.
It's been improving. I still have blurry vision. I can't drive or anything unless y'all are really ready to be terrified on the roads. But I have to look at my phone up close like a grandma. I'm getting my readers on, and then still very blurry. How about that?
Yeah. Let's see. How do I ask you this without pressure and with consent?
Me?
Do you have anything exciting you want to talk about?
Oh! Hang on a sec. Delayed. I don't know. I need permission, I think.
No pressure.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Can I tell? Come here and say hey.
Ooh, special guest.
Hello. You'll see your face up in that corner. Hi.
Hello.
That's my jam. Can I say it? Okay. Yeah, we have some exciting news. We're expecting a baby. Yay. Oh, I'm like, I can't believe, I'm gonna be a mom. What? And literally this room that I'm sitting in, it's my office slowly transitioning into a nursery literally tomorrow. So
oh, that's fantastic.
I'm just oh gosh, am I an adult?
Do you feel like that rapidly creeping up on you?
Yeah, oh boy, we got to do a lot of stuff, a lot of baby proofing. I need to have a 401k, and I just can't. Whew. I'm really excited. My best friend is growing another life, and I get to experience all of it with her, and it's so amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, baby making's the best. Yeah. Oh, are you watching, Heather? Are you watching the chats?
Yeah, everybody was like, congrats. I was like, thanks.
I know.
I get all giddy.
Like.
Just like. Now, I don't think that, I don't know if we announced this specifically, Eric, but I'm segueing completely now.
Sure.
Normally when we do a live show on stage, it's, we curate the show and we get all the storytellers ready and we get them coached up. And we do a show every other month, but since we've been with the stay-at-home mandate and we're doing live streams, we're able to live stream once a month. So twice the Mystery Box Show, twice the sex stories, and we're able to bring in people from all over the globe. Like, Heather is still in the United States, but don't know that she'd necessarily be able to travel to Portland, Oregon, if there weren't a pandemic, especially with, expecting a baby and all the things going on. So it's really cool that we can get people from Texas, and right now we're talking to some people in London, and so anywhere in the world, we're able to live stream once a month right now, and we find that's a really cool thing that's happening right now. And just like Eric just dropped the bomb of, oh, by the way, we're going to start doing a podcast. Most likely when we start doing stage shows again, in between, we're still going to keep this live stream going. So we're still going to have a live stream every other month and a stage show in the months between that. So it's been a really cool thing for us, and we're super excited about it. That's why you're seeing a May show right now. Normally we don't have a May show.
Yeah. I've just been seeing some of the chats here. Other locations, Astoria, Oregon, and greetings from the island of Nevis in the Caribbean. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think I'm saying Caribbean, or is it Caribbean?
Uh-oh.
Or Caribbean.
I mean, you say caramel, not caramel, so...
That's true. Yeah, and BX Lang, thank you for joining us for the first time. Hopefully the first of very many. And once we open up, we can see you over at the Alberta Rose Theatre.
Oh, Pooja, I love that this is once a month. Sorry, Nicole, go ahead.
X mentioned earlier that they were here because the red dress is not happening tonight, which we should make mention of to our lovely partners.
Thank you for that reminder. I'm actually wearing a red dress tonight in solidarity. If you don't know about the Red Dress Party, just Google it. I believe it's national, but it started here in Oregon.
I think it's reddress.org.
Reddress.org. And so the Red Dress Party is actually a huge fundraiser that happens every year. It's the party of the years. Y'all, I am a party planner and I'm really good at it. And most of the time I go to parties and I'm like, thanks for inviting me, but here's how it could be better. I'm sorry I'm judgy that way. But because I see so much potential and I know they could do better. Red Dress Party, you literally walk into it and I'm like, I can die happy now. This is like the best thing I've ever seen. There's a different theme every year and they donate to 2 different nonprofits 2 consecutive years in a row so that those nonprofits can really benefit from it. Usually it's people in association with the queer community or queer youth, but not always. Sorry, if someone from Red Dress is on the super chat right now, please feel free to contribute that. But the deal is, everybody in attendance, and there are thousands and thousands of people in attendance, are all required to wear a red dress. It doesn't matter what your gender is. And it started as a fundraiser for HIV and AIDS awareness, which is why it's red. In the red dress, and it's just sort of morphed from there. And tonight would have been the 20th anniversary of the red dress. It was the Roaring Red 20s theme, and so that's still going to be happening as soon as able. I'm not on the board or anything. We're just I just fucking love them. so any information you're hearing from me, please get actual information from their website. You can follow them on social media. But that's why I'm wearing a red dress tonight. I'm not wearing my 20s dress, which I would have worn to the party. I go every year as a VIP guest. They have art installations and sculptures and open bars and entertainment. There's a marching band in a warehouse of thousands of people, and there's photographers, and I mean, one year there was ice sculptures and chocolate fountains, and it's amazing. It is amazing. Nicole knows. Nicole's my date sometimes.
Oh, yeah. It's the best.
Yeah.
We do have a question for Heather specifically. I don't know if you've been reading the chats at all, but yeah. Someone wondering if you've ever incorporated blindfolds or other sight-hindering apparatuses or have other partners enjoy sexual interactions through other senses?
Yeah, like if you're into being blindfolded, I really suggest going blind because like it'll really take it to the next level. No, I'd only really done it once before with like a college boyfriend, but we were both just kind of like, what do we do? Just put these blindfolds on and then like do it. But he and I were like, if we were in 6th grade, we would have been the kids who like ride bikes together and always like climbing trees and hanging out. We had that sort of connection, so it was like, okay, we're doing this anyways. And I was kind of more caught up in the awkwardness of the moment rather than like experiencing the new sensations. But now I have no choice. And it's actually been kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like learning new ways to move and how to respond. And before, like I can feel where Jelane's gonna touch me before she touches me now. It's weird. I have like that. It's like a 7th sense now because you have your 6th sense and I see dead people, and then my 7th sense is, I guess, just being really perceptive to certain energies. I guess I don't know. It's really helped me interact with my animals, which is weird. Understanding like the energy that I'm bringing to them and the way that I'm interacting and kind of understanding what they're telling me. It's been really cool to do that, but it's I don't really have a choice about incorporating it into my sex life.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I really like sexy time. I'm not gonna lie. There's something really special about like when you get intimate with someone and you kind of let your guards down and you're just if you're naked you're just standing there like, oh, this is me and like that's you, cool, like cool. Let's touch each other and make each other feel good and experience some things. So I don't know if I answered the question. I just talk a lot.
I think that answered it.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have another question from Christine coming to James, wondering if James ever found the one, which, if there is a one.
Oh, yeah.
I found one for seasons of my life. So I have currently found somebody who is pretty amazing and is more than I had ever hoped for. So absolutely, I found the one. But there were also other people that, like the mother of my children, fantastic person, somebody I have tons of respect for. My first wife was an incredible person. Just we got married too young and outgrew each other. So I've had really good seasons and met some really phenomenal people. And the special person in my life right now is beyond imagination. So
I think I commented that to you once, James, that I happen to know who he's talking about because I know James in person, and I know James in person, not just digitally. And I love the way that the two of you interact together and the way that you adore her, just like openly into everyone, and it's really admirable. It's really sweet.
Thanks. Yeah, she's pretty incredible. I don't have the right word. It just doesn't exist. You would have to know her. That's the best word, is you just have to know her.
That's cool. That's a really good description. Like, yeah, everybody has that person where you're like, you just have to know them.
Or those people, I don't want to exclude anyone watching here who has multiple ones. I think that's always like not to discredit monogamy at all. But I think a lot of people are under the assumption, I don't want to call it a misconception, but just the idea that you have to find the one, and what if you don't? And some people, we know people who are just like, no, I'm a single person. I am a single person for life, and that's how I choose to be. And there's so much pressure to find the one. Or if you have multiple partners, there's pressure not to have that, or it's looked down upon, or all of the different things around that. But
speaking of like having like multiple partners, I'm curious to know if anybody is into polyamory, because like I went through a phase where I like just kind of realized how much I love certain people. And I was like, I'm ready to do my commune, like David Koresh, move to the side, I've got this. Minus the horrible death and FBI fuck up. But I'd really like to hear from people who are into polyamory. Do any of y'all have any experience with that?
I mean, I know for sure lots of people in the chat, people who I know are here, lots of them identify that way, yes. I have experience in that as well, though I don't identify as polyamorous. I don't like labels.
Yeah, labels suck balls.
Maybe we'll chat about that later.
Well,
I don't know, unless you...
Well, if I may sort of, and you can tell me if this is revealing too much, but I actually like Reba's story, which is that she never considered herself someone who wanted to be polyamorous, wasn't drawn that way, but after she and
I used to identify as a diehard monogamous, actually.
And then Reba and I were together for a long, long time. I don't know if people know that Reba and I are together. We're married, actually. And then she met somebody and was like, oh goodness, I really feel something for this person. So it wasn't that she was seeking, somebody to fill a polyamorous hole in her life.
Right, and hashtag all the holes. And also, it wasn't like my marriage is terrible, I'm looking for something outside of it. Because I hear people saying that often, like, oh, you wouldn't be looking, or you wouldn't be flirting, or you wouldn't find somebody unless something was wrong in your marriage. And that wasn't the case at all. In fact, the only reason that situation worked out was because the marriage was right. Like, things were good in the marriage. So...
like you get to be happy and like open yourself up a little more, and then somebody kind of comes in and you're like, oh yeah, cool. Is that kind of right?
I mean, from
it wasn't as fairy tale-esque as that, but but yeah.
Sorry, I don't know any other way to put it.
I mean, I'm speaking as a completely monogamous person. I'm not seeing anybody else, nor am I seeking anybody else. But I also fully agree with the idea that no one person can be everything to another person. Like, we're always going to, and even removing it from romantic partners, like, we all have friends that fill different parts of ourselves in our lives. I love this friend because they're hilarious. I love this friend because we have the same taste in music. And this friend I go bowling with. And, maybe your funny friend wouldn't go bowling, but you want to have bowling in your life or whatever.
With that being said, but monogamy is totally valid. Like, it's really interesting. I mean, of course it's valid. I shouldn't even have to say that. But I think some people feel like, cool, well, everyone's polyamorous now. Like, you're somehow more enlightened than I am, and like my monogamy is invalid. And that's just not true either. But so it's just
it's those labels again.
It's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, are you monogamous?
You're muted, Jason.
Yes, no, I know. I was trying to get the thing. I am.
Yeah. And by the way, Jason, I know that you can't stay very much longer. So with that, we're gonna still hang out. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Monogamous. Out. I wish I would have cut to black there. It would have been great.
Say hi to your monogamous wife for us.
You have a great night, Jason. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.
Great working with you, Jason.
Thank you. Good seeing you guys.
Be well.
I'm gonna have to take a powder myself. It was so much fun. I love you guys. This is like the most fun I ever have. It really. I love it.
We love you, James.
You're fantastic.
Pitch us another story.
Yeah. Sounds like you got him.
I'm working on it.
and say hi to Emily for. Oh, can I say her name?
I will. Yeah, it's fine.
Say hi to Emily for us.
Hey, thank you very much. It's fantastic. I love the new setup, and I can't wait to do it again. Hopefully, come up with something and do it again. It's fantastic. I love you
that.
guys.
Absolutely, James. Have a great night.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
I just saw myself in the monitor, and I forgot that I was wearing elf ears.
They just become natural after a while.
Never be a surprise for you.
Yeah. What's going on? What are all these comments
What is
saying?
happening?
Heather, you feel? Oh,
Oh, I don't know. I felt like I
Heather's
needed
like,
a
this
prop.
is my other partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Nicole? Do you want to contribute anything
my
to that
costumes are in a box.
conversation, or should we just keep rolling with?
Keep rolling. I mean, there's a lot of folks commenting. Kind of, there are some polyamory folks who are contributing. I'm sure there are some monogamous folks as well out there. I think it's a good mix, which feels like the same as our live audience too. It's really interesting to shift this to an online platform, not knowing who's going to be watching and who's going to be commenting and who will be really a part of the community. But it seems to be a really similar atmosphere, regardless of if it's the same people or not, right? It's just like a really cool group of open-minded and supportive people all watching other people share their stories. I don't know. I'm very touched by the audience right now.
Yeah,
It's been really great.
we have a cool
That's a good,
audience.
well, good shout out to everybody watching.
Yeah. Rumbles of Revolution, thank you so much for being here. BX Lang, we hope to see you at the next one. Everybody has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, folks, this live stream will be replayed and will be there endlessly for you on our YouTube channel. So if you know people who couldn't tune in tonight, please let them know. So, and if you wanted to watch it again, you certainly could on our YouTube channel. And then stay tuned for next week for Confession Corner. Will that be up?
They'll be up, yeah.
There'll be a Confession Corner up next week where we'll be reading some more of the confessions. And again, on June 12th, we're going to have our Pride show with Kevin Allison from Risk, amongst a whole other amazing cast that we're really excited for. And we're really excited to be able to contribute to Pride Month in this way, since so many, all the parades are going to be canceled, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, it's not kind of a bummer, it's a huge bummer for the LGBTQIA community. So any way that we contribute in that way, we're happy to. So hope you'll tune in for that on our YouTube channel. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when there's new content. And stay tuned for our new podcast as well.
We'll see you all next time, everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And the